And then I also wanted to say my final thought. I think that most of the 94s, about half of the 99s, all of the 01s, and the 12s were born in the wrong era. You should have been an 85. Thank you.
Moving on to the late 80s, we've already heard a little bit about the late 80s and early 90s. I probably should call this section the Wayne Young years. Deb met Wayne Young in the fall of 1986 while she was a player and coach. He had taken his first of many leaves of absence at that time from his law firm in Los Angeles to coach the DWRC. And they spent the next 25 years basically living parallel lives that collaborated on many rugby endeavors, including coaching at UCLA and at Dartmouth. They were drafting letters aimed at getting equal funding for the DWRC and helping to organize the alumni and administration to raise money to build the clubhouse. So they were starting back then. They even worked together in the same law firm in Vermont after they both moved back to Hanover from LA. The first plan that they hatched together was the DWRC's inaugural tour to California, of course, in the spring of 1987. Deb was by then an avid power lifter and trainer at an old school gym in White River Junction, and she was giving the team its first off-season fitness programs that winter of '87. The tour was a great success, despite many difficulties encountered due to lack of funding, and the DWRC returned to California each spring for the next few years. Deb lived in LA from the winter of 1987 to the winter of 1993, and she coached UCLA, the Southern California Griffins, and the West Coast Grizzlies, but she would manage to come back to Hanover to coach the DWRC at the same time. Sometimes she came for full seasons, sometimes just for a month or a few weeks. She would sometimes send other coaches from the West Coast, including Barb Bond, who was captain of the championship U.S. World Cup team in 1991. The DWRC did not have any funding through this time period, and Deb had very little money. So Wayne would often help out financially as well, with rent, money for food, when she and other coaches came back to coach. So during this time, the team and women's collegiate rugby in general grew stronger in every way. Number of players, athleticism, successes on the field. As Deb mentioned earlier, the class of 1988 was the largest in our history. They graduated 35 players, and the team boasted 4 sides. Across the country, divisions were forming, and USA Rugby was organizing the college playoff structures, and the DWRC were on top of the Ivy League during this time. Nancy Fitz, 89, and Kenya Warner, 93, would become our first Eagles. And I know Nancy too. Is Kenya? No.
Kenya's not here.
Okay. And then they both went on to captain the U.S. World Cup teams later as well. And we have Jen Houlihan to come up and say a few words. There she is.
Boomer was reminding me that I am the class of the goddamn 88.
Yeah!
I forgot about that. They used to call us that.
Wayne dubbed you that.
Wayne did it?
Yeah.
All right, so I was one of 5 freshmen who played the fall of 1984 on the A side with Deb. We came in from different sport backgrounds, as most people did. For me, it was soccer, and when I got here and I saw rugby, I was like, it was perfect. Just let me pick up the goddamn ball and run with it, instead of playing with foot skills. So it was a whole new world. The five of us drank the DWRC Kool-Aid. As far as we were concerned, the sun rose and set with the 1985s. It was Kathy Riley, Jill Owens, Megan Hanawalt, and you guys, Lisa and Charlotte too, but you guys were incredible inspiration. We had a small team of 86s and 87s who were worth their weight in gold, but they were not in numbers. So the 88s had a weigh in early, which was great. But everything we did revolved around rugby. We didn't travel like we should have. When I look at my kids who went to study abroad, I said, "Oh, I didn't study abroad." "Why didn't you study abroad, Mom?" "Because I had to play rugby." Anyhow, so after the 85s left, we were left with Deb, because she didn't leave. And so I was captain with Deb. And frankly, she scared the crap out of me. She wore full leather outfits to practice. She drove that motorcycle. She was not taking any 88s with her. No, we ran. Right? She showed up. Anyhow, what else did I want to say about them? The years after that, we started to attract other athletes like Nancy, who's fantastic from basketball, Katie Purley, who came from lacrosse. And we had not only numbers coming because we were having so much fun, but we really started to attract people from other sports, which was awesome. And then we won our Ivy League championship, which was fantastic. Let's see, what are they? I can't even tell in my notes. So, I think I describe these years as the years that we had an incredible amount of dedication and a really low degree of discipline. That may be why she called us the goddamn 88s. My son he's in high school, he would like roll his eyes, all the time. And he always says, "Mom, you always take things too far." I'm like, yeah, we always did. Yeah. So, the thing that we're probably best known for is after one game, we decided to spontaneously get tattoos. I didn't know if Deb loved us or hated us when she heard about that. She was, shaking her head all the time. But when we went she had the idea to come visit her in California, and we did. We sold t-shirts on street corners. We sold peaks of the tattoos. we sold rent-a-rugger days. We sold anything so we could get out there to California. And then we behaved badly. But that's all right. They actually left me in California, but we don't need to go into that. Back at home, we begged the men's coaches to help us because Deb was in California at that time, and we did. We had the men's coaches came, and they would come over and they would laugh and they would love us, and they gave us a lot of their time. I can't remember their names, but I can't remember their names. I didn't like David either, so it doesn't really matter. Anyhow, all right. So the end of my speech. Deb has created a fantastic legacy here at Dartmouth. The new varsity athletes have created theirs also. It's fantastic. I didn't expect my legacy to be synonymous with being one of the original tattooed ladies. I can see my son rolling his eyes now. but on behalf of Chris, Sue, Kate, and Sting, the other ones, and myself, we all have children, and what they should be saying is, wow, Mom, wow. You have a question? Is that allowed?
Yeah, not for me. Tell us what sorority you were in, because the new kids, the younger kids will not believe it. Yes.
I am Kappa, 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 Kappa. I am the happy man. I am a Kappa, Kappa, Kappa. I am. All right, so I couldn't be prouder to have played a part in this history, from the originals to varsity. It's awesome how each generation took the ceiling of the last generation and made it the floor for their generation. Go ahead.
That was awesome. All right, so moving on into the mid-90s, we're chugging right along at a very fast pace. Okay, it's totally worth it. All right, mid-90s. The team leaders and players in the class of 94 and 95 hold a special place in DWRC history for several reasons. First, they were extremely successful on the pitch, contributing 4 players to the inaugural U.S. Collegiate All-American team, winning a 5th Ivy League championship in a row, 5 and 95, and fielding our first Elite 8 team, narrowly losing to Princeton in the Eastern Finals. Meanwhile, the DWRC struggle for financial parity with the men's team reached a critical juncture, and the team leaders were asked to sit down with the men's team leaders to figure out allocation of money. This happened during a week that Coach Deb was driving across country to move back to Hanover, leaving the players on their own in these negotiations. It is an understatement to say that it was a difficult process, and these courageous athletes not only sacrificed their friendship with DRFC members, but also endured substantial bullying in campus social spaces for having taken money to which the men's players felt entitled. The inequity, which we had fought to address for several years, was finally on the table, but it would take years for it to be fully addressed, and it came at a high social cost. Kirsten Lawton, class of 94. She would go on to a successful career as the 3rd Eagle to be hatched by DWRC. She earned 2-time All-American status while at Dartmouth, along with All-Americans Trish Bankowski, 95, Claire Eunice, 95, and Constance Tromble, also 95. A very strong group of athletes. In the spring of 95, the senior ring ceremony was established. Since Deb had a full-time day job and started receiving a small coaching stipend, she decided to invest in the team's graduating seniors by buying DWRC rings for each of them as a sort of contract that they would remember the DWRC when they wore their ring. Is anybody wearing their ring tonight? There we go. In return, they would support the team when they were called upon to donate. In the ensuing 20 years, the senior ring ceremony has become a much-loved tradition. It happens on the Saturday of graduation weekend, right after class day. All of the seniors' parents and families come together for a luncheon prepared by Deb and underclass women. And then each senior is presented a ring while Deb talks about the contributions that player has brought to the DWRC. To talk about this era a little further, Nicole Carrier, class of 94.
So if I was to talk about one thing about the early 90s, I would say that we were hardcore. Very hardcore. Apparently we were part of the 85s, but we were also scrappy. We were the last generation an era that really had absolutely no money. We took an 18-passenger van to Virginia. We went to Deb's place in California. Increased her electricity bill probably 4 times with all the people sleeping on the floor.
One bathroom.
One bathroom, yeah, it was a lot of fun. But we also had a lot of fun. Our generation, Wayne taught us the fine art of yucca. And I think we also did T or B. T or B. T or B. We thought nothing. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Tequila or vodka, we'd wake people up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and make them a shot of tequila or vodka. We thought Mad Dog was a very fine wine, and we thought nothing of making our shitheads drink a whole bottle of Mad Dog. And Deb talked about this, when we were freshmen, our seniors wouldn't let us leave the Thursday night meetings without finishing the keg, so many of us spent yeah, thanks Jill.